Thank you, Joanna. Good afternoon. I'm Kenya Donaldson, the president of Guilford County Association of Educators. Guilford County educators are here on a Sunday afternoon in front of a high school with chronically broken air condition to correct the record. There is a common misunderstanding around this state that life without a budget will run just fine. There is no government shutdown when there's no state budget. So the press and some of your listeners and readers think life just goes on. But this is just not true. Look closely at our public schools and you will see. You can see deteriorating school buildings and a statewide staffing shortage. As the state budget enters its final process, we ask that North Carolinians look closely at our public schools. Presently, in Guilford County, students are losing instructional time due to school closures around our aging buildings and failing HVAC systems. Our county does not have the capacity nor the funds to address the billions of dollars of repairs needed to ensure comfortable learning environments for students and staff. Today, we are asking lawmakers to make a true commitment to our public schools. Our state lawmakers are more than 2 months late without approving a state budget. And a stalled state budget hurts our students now. Allow the voters of North Carolina to determine how those $6.5 billion in surplus will be used. The general public supports and wants our schools funded so that they are safe and positioned to serve all children in our community. We are well overdue for a statewide construction bond as educational lottery funds have been redirected to most everything outside of schools. We ask for a school construction bond to be placed on the 2022 ballot for the people of North Carolina to have a voice regarding the states of the school's facilities. A bond will address the immediate needs regarding the aging facilities across our states. There is a cost of not having a state budget. Life does not go on as normal. Let's continue to examine our public schools, and you'll see. Earlier this summer, the U.S. Department of Education predicted statewide teacher shortages in North Carolina. Every child deserves a well-qualified teacher in all their classes, regardless of where they live and their family income. You can see the federal government predicted a shortage of math teachers in all grades, special education teachers at all grades, elementary teachers in core subjects, and skilled and highly skilled staff. How did our legislation react? Did they pass a budget by July 1st and give teachers raises to better recruit and retain qualified staff and highly skilled personnel? No, of course not. Our legislators are more than 2 months late with the state budget as they sit on a $6.5 billion surplus. Some of that surplus could have been used to raise educators' pay this semester to help alleviate teaching and staffing shortages. A staff shortage hurts our students. A better budget passed on time could alleviate this teacher shortage. A stalled state budget is hurting our students now. Our state legislators need to pass a budget that prioritizes students now.
Good afternoon. My name's Kirsten Castle, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a parent of 3 children in Guilford County Schools. And while I'm grateful for the opportunity to tell my story today, I wish I didn't have a story to tell. All 3 of my children attended Joyner Elementary, and my youngest is in 5th grade there this year. We chose to leave a charter school in order to attend Joyner because we really want to attend and support our neighborhood school. Joyner is a Title I school, and about 75% of the students live in homes that are at or below the poverty line. And it's full of amazing children who deserve a good education in a building where they can learn. So I want to tell you a little bit about what it's like to send your children to Joyner. The staff are amazing. My kids love their teachers. All 3 have thrived there educationally and emotionally. Educators at Joyner have gone above and beyond for my kids. But there's more to it. We don't drink the water at Joyner. I was setting up for a PTA event one morning a few years ago, and I started filling up water pitchers for parents and caregivers. I was warned, you really don't want to drink that water, and I remembered that we put out water bottles because the water tastes weird. There's often mold in the hallways. Pipes have burst and flooded our school, and the temporary fixes aren't able to keep the school mold-free. The HVAC system is so old and so broken and so tired, it breaks every year. I've purchased multiple fans for my kids' teachers over the years. My kids routinely come home hot and sweaty. We don't have a gym. Our PE teacher works out of a trailer, and the track that our children have to run around has uneven patches of rock, so they have to be careful. The furniture is old, and one of my children was sitting at a desk that fell apart under them. But the pieces didn't hit the floor, they hit the desk next to them because the classrooms are so crowded that there's barely enough room for the students to walk between their desks. And that's what it was like before the pandemic. Last year, my Joyner students stayed home and did online school because the building didn't feel safe. The HVAC was not replaced, and I didn't trust the temporary fixes. But a year after online school, my youngest was struggling emotionally and educationally. He needed to be in school. So we sent him back this year in person, and he is so excited. He's so thrilled to have his teacher and to be back with his friends. So maybe you can imagine my worry when I get a call to come pick him up on just the 3rd day of school this year because he was sick. I left work to come pick him up, really worried about COVID, remembering all the reasons we didn't send him into that school last year. And it wasn't COVID. My child was overheated. I was informed that he wasn't even able to learn in his classroom that day. It was 95 degrees outside, and his classroom was so hot that the principal had moved the whole class to the cafeteria. He has this amazing teacher. She fills that classroom with books and posters so that all children are represented, but by only the 3rd day of school, they couldn't learn in that classroom because it was too hot. And even though the class was moved to the cafeteria, he became so overheated that he threw up. When I picked him up from school, his skin was warm to the touch. You could tell he felt horrible. And I got him home and into some air conditioning, and he cooled off and he was fine. But he missed a day of education, and I had to leave work in order to care for him. This is 2021. In 2019, a third-party facility study was published on our schools, and that study deemed our school unsuitable for learning, and it was recommended that the school be completely rebuilt. All of this has happened on the watch of our state legislators. Schools in North Carolina are being slowly defunded, starved of the resources our kids need to learn. It's no secret that our schools are falling apart. And now, a year and a half into a global pandemic, my child came home from school overheated and sick because there's not adequate air conditioning in his school. Lack of funding for our schools means we only get temporary fixes. It means we have to wait to even get those fixes because we don't have enough facilities workers to address the problems. Lack of fundings in our school means my kids come home sick and overheated. It means that my children continue to attend schools that have been deemed unsuitable for learning. We need the state legislator to fund our schools adequately and appropriately. This is just my story, and I wish I could tell you that I'm the exception. But my story is the story of many families all across Guilford County. My children deserve no more and no less than any other child, and all of our children deserve better than the education offered to them by the North Carolina State Legislature. Thank you for listening to and sharing our story. Thank you, Kirsten. My name is Joanne Pendleton, and I am the school librarian at Brightwood Elementary School. I also have 3 children of my own who attend Brightwood Elementary School, and we love it there. My children have been really enjoying seeing their classmates and my colleagues, their teachers. We have really enjoyed being back in person this year. However, that's not why we're here. Why are we here? We're here outside Smith High School on a hot Sunday afternoon because Smith is one of 3 schools that had to send students home in just the first 2 weeks of school because broken air conditioning forced students out of sweltering school buildings, as you've just heard. It's time for real investment in North Carolina public schools. As Kirsten has highlighted, the failure to invest in our buildings is hurting our children. Just this school year, GCS has had a total of 1,300 work orders for HVAC systems around the district. Guilford County Maintenance have worked diligently, and they've been able to complete over 600 work orders, including the ones at my school. I know maintenance is actively working on repairs to the remaining locations, but our school district has a backlog of 700 orders to fix air conditioning. Our schools are on average 50 years old. We desperately need repairs, renovations, and new construction of our public schools. As illustrated today, the children and families of North Carolina are suffering because the state budget does not make real investments in school infrastructure. And what are our state lawmakers doing about it? Our lawmakers refuse to pass a budget, allowing voters to decide on a statewide school construction bond as they sit on a $6.5 billion surplus with plans to further cut corporate income taxes. Our schools close because of broken air conditioning, and lawmakers are stuck debating how much they want to cut corporate income taxes. They are not prioritizing students. They debate their corporate tax cuts in a very well air-conditioned General Assembly in Raleigh, by the way. Maybe if they had to debate their corporate tax cuts inside a Guilford County public school when it was 85 degrees inside, they might think about using that tax revenue to better fund our schools so the schools would have reliable air conditioning. Broken air conditioning that closes our schools is hurting our students. State budgets that could have included statewide school bonds would have paid for new air conditioning. This stalled budget is hurting our students right now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Amy Harrison, a special education teacher in Guilford County Schools. I speak as a voice for the classified workers across Guilford County as well as those across the state of North Carolina. Classified employees are our hourly paid employees such as our teacher assistants, our front office staff, our custodians, our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers, and our maintenance workers, to name a few. The years of low wages have contributed to the approximately 325 classified vacancies posted to the Guilford County Schools vacancy page. It's clear that our classified, non-certified workers do not have a competitive wage that will attract and retain these skilled workers. 3 budget cycles ago, other state workers received a $15 hour minimum wage followed by 2 consecutive years of 2.5% raises. Our non-certified workers in maintenance, instructional assistance, and office support require the same skill sets as these workers in our state. School employees should not be required to wait for a deserved $15 an hour living wage. The House proposes raises for non-certified school staff to bring minimum salaries to $13 an hour the first year of the budget and $15 an hour in year 2. We appeal to the leadership to understand the urgency to provide these raises in year 1. This stalled budget is hurting our students now.
Good afternoon. My name is Shawna Richards, and I'm a school counselor in Guilford County Public Schools. So, let's finish where we started. We are here to correct the record.
A stalled budget does not mean a government shutdown. A school construction bond on the 2022 ballot will allow the voters of North Carolina to have a voice in today's stories that have been described in great detail. The faces of the children, families, and workers across our state that are impacted by the budget decisions of the General Assembly. We are here today asking that our Budget Conference Committee exercise its commitment to the public by placing priorities on school spending. Provide our highly skilled classified workers the living wages they deserve. Allocate funds to begin rebuilding our deteriorating public school facilities and allow the public to have a voice in how the $6.5 billion is used by placing a school construction bond on the ballot in 2022. A stalled state budget means lawmakers are stalling to solve problems in our schools that are hurting students right now. These are problems that were predicted. A statewide teacher shortage, a nagging bus driver shortage, a shortage of critical support staff during a pandemic. School renovations have been deferred for so long, we are literally forced to send students home. It is shameful. These are problems that are easily solved. They are problems that are solved by fully funding our public schools, like most voters want these politicians to do. And state lawmakers have the money to do this. They sit on a $6.5 billion surplus. Let me say that again. They sit on a $6.5 billion surplus. These are problems that are solved if these politicians do their jobs. Prioritize students, not corporate tax cuts. Pass a state budget that prioritizes students and fully funds our schools now. Do it now because a stalled state budget is hurting our students now. Thank you. We will be happy to entertain questions after the press conference for any reporter interested in speaking with any of the members up here. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.
Go team! Yay!
Yes, we're all done.
Good job, girls. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for holding this.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, girls. Thank you. Y'all are rock stars.
Y'all rocked it out. Y'all held it the whole time.
The whole time. And they were so still.
You did so good.
No, they earned ice cream for sure.
Definitely. I don't know how much this will do, but
Hey,
it's
it'll
going
do
to
what it
keep
does.
going.
We're doing our
2022
part.
is coming, right?
Oh boy.
It's all
I don't know. Y'all have a lot of them.
This one's ours. It's not that tangled up, thankfully.